Welcome once again to another edition of Shelf Life Book Reviews Online. Thank you as always for taking the time to watch my videos. Hopefully you will always find them informative, and when you go to your local bookstores, you will seriously consider the books that I am mentioning. Today, as always, I am mentioning two nonfiction books, both very highly recommended, both very, very different. The first one is Anatomy of 55 More Songs, the oral history of top hits that changed rock, R&B, and soul by Marc Myers. This is published by Grove Press and it retails for $35.95. This book is the follow-up to the 2016 book Anatomy of a Song. It took the author 6 years to pen another book about 55 songs that are very familiar, that helped change the course of history in rock and roll and R&B music. The 55 here are a diverse range of songs, many of which we grew up with. At least I did. I was born in 54, so I grew up. Those born in the 90s won't be able to relate to the songs, but these songs begin in 1964, the first, and it goes up to 1996. So the very first one is Walk On By is mentioned. That's the very first one. And that is a Burt Bacharach and Hal David song. And it was a classic song, and it tells how the song came about, how the melody came about, the lyrics, and the orchestration of the music. Now, the second one mentioned is Up, Up and Away by Jimmy Webb. That's a classic song, and it's interesting how it came about. Jimmy Webb was a struggling songwriter, and he saw a disc jockey that he knew, and it was out by the campus, and they had hot air balloons. And the DJ, who was a friend of Jimmy Webb, says, "Would you like to ride in my beautiful balloon?" And Jimmy kind of smiled, and he went home. And the next day, he started thinking of the hot air balloons. And he also thought of a song, or not a song, what Superman says when he goes to fly. Superman says, "Up, up and away." And he started thinking, "Up, up and away" was the title. And then one of the key lyrics is, "Would you like to ride in my beautiful balloon?" And as they say, the rest is history. It solidified Jimmy Webb as a top name songwriter and really helped vault his career into the upper stratosphere. So the songs mentioned here are a very diverse range of songs. And it also talks about Gordon Lightfoot's bestseller, Sundown. Interesting story to that he once dated Kathy Smith in Toronto. Now, people might think I've heard that name. Well, yes. Kathy Smith had a notorious reputation because she was the person who gave the fatal dose to John Belushi when he overdosed and died. And she went to prison for it. But Gordon Lightfoot dated her, and he always thought that she might have been unfaithful to him. And so the song Sundown is basically about infidelity. So it's an interesting story. Every song has a story in many ways. And the diverse range of songs that are covered in this book include Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys, Fire by the Crazy World of Arthur Brown, I'm 18 by Alice Cooper, Year of the Cat by Al Stewart, You're My Best Friend's Girl by the Cars. The list is endless. Nobody Does It Better by Carly Simon. So it's a fascinating range, 55 songs that I'm sure once you read about them, when you listen to them the next time, you'll have a new respect and understanding of how the songs came about. So hopefully Marc Myers will be creating another book with 55 more iconic tunes, because you can never get enough great songs, and you can never get enough understanding of how certain songs came about. So add this book to your must-buy list, especially if you're a lover of classic songs, because you'll have a You'll be amazed, and you can tell these stories to your friends too. And the second book of note, something quite different from the world of songs, is The Battle Cry of the Siamese Kitten. Even More Tales from the Accidental Veterinarian by Philipp Schott. This is published by ECW Press, and it retails for $22.95. The author, Philipp Schott, a veterinarian, has written 2 previous books about his experiences as a veterinarian. He's been in the veterinary business for 30 years. So he's seen a lot of interesting animals. He's dealt with a lot of interesting animals and people too. There are approximately 60 stories, very short, slice of life stories that you can pick the book up and read it at any time, put it down again, and go back to it later. If you're an animal lover, and I'm sure most people watching this have had a pet at some point during their lifetime, whether it was a cat, dog, goldfish, rabbit, newt, whatever, frog. He mentions most of those animals in the book. There are some happy stories. There are some sad ones where you might need a tissue, especially any of us who've ever dealt with having to put an animal to sleep or having an animal, die naturally. It causes a lot of sadness. And Philipp Schott talks about that there are many cases when he has had to put an animal to sleep, and he's, dealt with the animal for many, many years, and it's just as hard for him to have to say goodbye to the animal as the owners of the animal. So it's, it covers a broad range. He even talks about giving ultrasound to a goldfish. He had to use an ingenious method to do an ultrasound on a goldfish. I guess it was a very rare, expensive goldfish, not just the type that you'd buy and flush down the toilet. This was a one that was quite rare, and the owner spent a lot of time and money on it. He also talks about giving an ultrasound to a snow leopard. He calls it one of the most beautiful creatures. And in the book, he talks about a variety of animals, treating all the way from pelicans, pigeons, rats, horses, guinea pigs. He's seen it all. He's dealt with it all. And as a veterinarian, I guess you have to be multi-talented, especially when you just don't deal with dogs and cats. People have brought in injured birds and things like that. So he's got to be a jack of all trades in the veterinary business. And the book is definitely full of so many stories. Like I said, he also talks about should you bathe your dog? Some people have to bathe it weekly or monthly. He says that's not necessary, maybe once a year. He also talks about animals who dream. Do animals dream? Yes, they do, because I'm sure many have observed their animals in the night sleeping and making strange noises and quivering, tails shaking. And the book is truly, truly fascinating. So if you are an animal lover, The Battle Cry of the Siamese Kitten will have you smiling, laughing, and have a few tears coming to your eyes as well. So those are the 2 books I wanted to draw to your attention. Definitely different. Anatomy of a Song and The Battle Cry of the Siamese Kitten. So anyways, hopefully you will consider these books and you will let me know if you agree with my critique. So thank you for watching, and until we meet again, and we will, with more books, stay safe, stay sane, stay social distancing, and do stay in touch. Bye for now.